goes by. One of the biggest things in change, my change, was understanding the mind and how it works. And the better understanding I had of the mind, the better I was able to adjust and change my life, my lifestyle, my results, and really rearrange the existing pattern plan, the chain of events, the results that I was getting in the past were things that I did not want anymore. The amount of money I was earning at the time was not what I wanted. The way I was experiencing my life, the way my children were experiencing their lives were things that they were okay, they were good, but it wasn't what I wanted. And when I say that, that means we're always wanting more. We always desire more. We always want more. And the lifestyle that I had at the time, for me, was not sufficient to what I wanted to see. So in saying that, nobody could change that other than me. So I had to change the ideas. I had to work on my ideas. And that being said, that means I've got to work on me. Now, nobody can change a person. The individual has to change himself. So it's the ideas that I was working with. As long as I continued with the same ideas that I was working with, I would just continue on the same life plan. Now, later on, as I started to understand this information at a better level, I started to understand that the mind is automatic. The mind automatically does what it's programmed to do. It does what it knows how to do. It's whenever we try to go beyond those thoughts that we get stuck. There's a lot of people stuck. Look around you. Look around your environment. Look around your area. Look around your neighborhood. Look around you in general. You're going to find that majority of the people are stuck. And that majority of the people, on a rare occasion, break out of those areas. Whatever age you are, you're going to notice there's always more or less the same people with the same mindset, with the same ideas, earning the same amount of money, living the same lifestyles, and they really never change. Now, in studying people, you start to see, not only in yourself, but in others, that we're just an accumulation of ideas, habits, behaviors. And on a general rule of thumb, we don't look outside of that. Why would we not look outside of that? Why would we stay conditioned living the way we're living? What are your thoughts, Taha?
That's a really good question. That is because we don't know that's an option, and we think this is what it is. And before I started understanding about mind and human mechanism and the way we think, and I had no idea that I could think differently, and I thought it is what it is, and average individual does not know that they have a choice, and they do not know that they can start changing the way they're thinking, and the way they're thinking is affecting their results. So as soon as you start understanding that, I don't know anyone that will be able to stop studying and learning themselves, because you understand that all your choices and decision in life, it's going back to the way you're conditioned.
Mm-hmm. So this conditioning period, it starts at a young age. But really, after that young age, do we condition ourselves to think in a different way, to pattern in a different way, right? Pattern what? Our ideas, right? So this base knowledge from the age of 0 to 5, 0 to 7, we were programmed.
Right.
Everybody around the world, a lot of people hear this word brainwash. Well, you were programmed from the age of 0 to 5, 0 to 7. And if you understand that, that means you're programmed to live the way you're living today by the people that programmed you, that surrounded you at the age of 0 to 7.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, that means that you had, depending on where you were born, really, and depending on where you were born, who your family were, and your environment, culture, everything about it, that you were born in that family or in that culture, in geographic area, depending on that, you start your mind, subconscious mind, start just accepting the idea, because at the time we're born to 7 before we start having the intellect and start having our conscious mind, we start just accepting everything we see, we hear, and all the ideas that we hear and see are, because our subconscious mind is deductive, is we'll just take it. And we came to this world as our mind, we were not programmed, and we came here unlimited. That's why when we're a kid, we try and get up so many times. We fall, but we get up again. And we try so many times to say certain words, mommy, daddy, and we eventually make it. We're unlimited. And through time, we become conditioned based off of things that they tell us. Be careful, watch out, listen to me. Using all these words and follow me.
You cannot have that.
You cannot have
we
that.
We cannot have that.
Yeah.
We cannot afford that.
Yeah. And that goes that this is a very broad topic to discuss about how we're conditioned in every area of our life. But when you start understanding that, and the fun part about it is you can't change it. You know, you mentioned that earlier is from age 0 to 7 were conditions, and after that we have our conscious mind where you start thinking logically and we start developing that. But again, through age of 7 to up to now, we're still affected by our environment, by news, by situations, by circumstance, by our current results. And our current result a lot of times determines where we're going in the future. You can't change it as well, because your current results is, as just Abraham earlier mentioned, your current results is a product of past thinking. The reason you have the current results because what you were thinking in the past. So now you want to change the result in future, you got to change the thinking right now. And it's just not right now in a few minutes. It's continuously working on you. And through repetition, imagine you're 20, 30, 40, 50 years old. Through you have been programmed through this time. It won't happen overnight. It's continual work and continued investment in you. What Abraham and I did is we have changed our life around, and the reason is because I started understanding that, hey, there's no limit. Not only that, might be some individual, and I know some individual that are doing well. Even them, they can do 100 times more and better. There's no limit to what you can do. And when you start working on you and you start discovering who you are and what you're capable of, the life is not going to be the same anymore.
When we start looking at the environment, and that's what I was looking at a young age, I started to look at my environment. And everything I saw poverty. I saw people that were impoverished. And I'm looking at poverty around me. The reason I was looking at poverty around me was because that was the environment I was raised in. And because the environment that I was raised in was impoverished, I'm getting impoverished ideas. So when we start to think, where did our base knowledge start? Where did our base understanding begin? Well, it begins from the environment and the state that you're born in, right? So, and the year, and the ideas of the individuals in it, and it goes off of the relationships are being built at that time. You're learning what a father is to a son, to a daughter. You're learning from your parents what a husband is to a wife, what a wife is to a husband. So all you're doing from 0 to 5 is you have no ability to reject any of those ideas. You just accept. So everything you're seeing is being what? Programmed into your subconscious. The environment you're living in, you're going across the street, you're going into the neighborhood, you're going into those people's homes, you're going into those apartments, wherever you're at, guess what? You're getting inundated with all of their information, all of their ideas, all of their programming. So here you have generation after generation after generation of just programmed ideas into the subconscious of a child, and without them even knowing it, they're going to go and do what? Do the same. Why? Well, let's look at a child. This is so important. And if you're watching this on Facebook, go back and rewind it. Go back and look at it again. You have a child. You have their conscious mind and you have their subconscious mind. Now, the conscious mind is the intellect of the child. But guess what? The child has zero intellect. At 0, 1, 2, almost zero intellect in the subconscious mind. It's hearing everything that is going on around, so it picks up all the ideas, all the words, all the visions, all the demonstrations of what? The consciousness of the individuals around it. Child has no ability to reject these ideas. It just picks up and it accepts the ideas. This child is getting its first list of operating instructions. This child has no ability to reject, so it just takes on relationships, it takes on vocabulary, it takes on understanding from the individuals that understand, as far as they understand, and it just accepts that environment in totality as its own. Now, there comes a time when this child starts to assimilate. It begins to think. Now, it's thinking, but it's taking the ideas from the subconscious, from its surroundings. It's taking all these little puzzle pieces, all of these words, all of these ideas, and it begins to what? To think so that it can do what? Express. So it wants to pull these ideas out of the subconscious and it uses it with its intellect now. Whose intellect? Well, it came from the environment. So it takes the same ideas from mom and dad, and from aunt, and from uncle, and from their friends, and from the environment. It takes those ideas and it begins to think on its own. As it's thinking and it begins to assume that this is the way it is, this is how the child becomes. Again, as the child begins to assume that this is the way it is, it takes on those beliefs and it begins to think from there. This little child, unbeknownst to him, is thinking and formulating ideas, using his creative imagination, and he's thinking and he's moving all these ideas back and forth. Because why? Because he wants to experience. He wants to exist. He wants to experience the physical world for himself. But now he's experiencing the physical world for himself through his what? Environment, through his program. So he's rearranging the ideas because he wants to individualize his experience a little bit different than everyone else. But what he's actually doing, he's using their ideas to reorganize the ideas. Think about this. He's using their ideas to reorganize their ideas to a different outcome. That's why you're stuck. There are people who don't know why they're stuck. Because they're using the environment's ideas, their family's ideas, the friends, the uncles, everything, the timeline, all that. Unbeknownst to the child, he wasn't aware. He was programmed. He takes their ideas and he reasons with their ideas to what? Experience himself. Experience his imagination. He's still experiencing so much of them. How many of you have gone from the age that you're at to go all the way down to your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, maybe even your 60s and 70s, and you're still using their ideas? Maybe you say, well, I'm not using all those ideas. Really look at your results. I'm still not doing what they are doing. Well, let's go back and look at your results. It's so important you understand this and you start to recognize that there's something's going on so that you can change it. How do you know when you have a negative attitude or negative vibration? Because you can feel it. And if you can feel it, snap out of it. Just snap out of it. You'll see everything around you right now as it is. It'll even change immediately. Go back to a positive mental attitude. Know that a lot of times the things that you're going through right now at the moment are not an accident. It's because you're not used to controlling the flow. If you don't like the results you're getting, snap out of it. You can change. How do we do that? Well, first, we've got to go look at what we want. We've got to start to build the visions and the images that we want to work with. When we start looking at the environment is nothing but our looking glass. The results that you're achieving are a direct reflection of the image of yourself that you're holding. How do we get past that? I'm going to repeat that again. The results that you are achieving are a direct reflection of the image and images that you've been holding about yourself. How do we get past that? How did you get past the self-image that you were holding about yourself?
Well, by experiencing the paradigm shift. And when you understand first you got to understand what is the self-image. And every one of us have self-image. That means how we see ourselves and what we think of ourselves and the opinion that we have about ourselves. And that opinion determines what you are, who you are, and what your worth is. And that is obviously determine your outcome and results in life. So the way I start changing my self-image is by, again, understanding how was it built and why do I have the self-image that I have, and understanding how to change it. In order to change the self-image, you can't be the same person that you are today and expect different results, because you're not going to outperform your self-image. Right now, the result that you have in your life is equal proportion of the self-image that you have. Equal. So if you want to change your self-image, you got to mentally go somewhere new, somewhere higher.
So that was the key.
Yeah.
You've got to mentally go somewhere new. Mm-hmm. How do you mentally go somewhere new? What do we need to do?
Mentally, the way you got to start understanding that who is it that you want to become. You got to know what is, if you want to become, whoever you want to become, you can't. You have that choice and decide on well. You got to first think about who it is that you want to become. And to start writing, I believe, which I do, what I've done has helped a lot. To start writing, changing your self-image. Start writing. We talked about this, I think, last week. Start writing a new opinion about you, and that helps a lot, because how you see yourself as your self-image, it's how you behave, and it's going to affect your decisions and the way you act and what you attract. So in order to change that, you got to start writing a journal of opinion about you, that look at yourself in different situations and different thought process and see what are the limits and what are the conversations you're telling yourself, and to start rewriting that. Mm-hmm. And rewriting your opinion of yourself, and to start changing your destiny. Yep. And the way that works is you got to do that through repetition. Don't think if you start writing today because I said you need to write, it's going to change. It's a good starting point. You've been programmed 20, 30. We're not going to talk about genetic, 3 million years. We're going to talk about environmentally.
How can you change right now?
Yeah, how you can change right now. And
through constant spaced repetition.
Right, and that comes through writing. A lot of it is writing and understanding. Repetition of information. and you start rewriting that self-image about you. And when you start rewriting that self-image about you, you start seeing the reality, your reality that you live in, will start rearranging itself according to the self-image that you have. Now, don't think that will just be activated when you start writing your self-image, rewriting your self-image. Every individual that they're living, the reality that they have is equal to the self-image that they have.
And if you don't rewrite the self-image, that conditioned way of behavior and way of thinking will not leave you. Why? Because it's you. If you do not, if you're unwilling to rewrite your self-image over for the next 60, 90 days or the rest of your life, guess what? You're stuck with you. But you don't want you anymore, do you? So what are you going to do?
Yeah.